This is the Omicron OT-60. This is a fascinating boat for lots of reasons, and it's one I've been very keen to get on board of and to bring you guys. And the idea of this is to be a very practical, it's almost like a sort of modern trawler yacht concept. So it's designed for low speed, efficient running, lots of space, lots of comfort, the kind of boat you can spend a long time on board. But it is unbelievably efficient. The range on this is fantastic, and that's not because it's got massive tanks, although it does have pretty big tanks. It's because it's a very, very efficient hull. In fact, the guy that designed this designs a lot of sailing boats, so he's very, very focused on low speed efficiency, because of course they have to be as slippery as possible through the water, and that's what this is. You can see some of the practical details in things like this rubbing band on the outside here. In fact, that's more for the American market, so you can go against poles, for example, without damaging the rubbing rail. Back here, in fact, I think what I'll do is I'll show you the deck on the outside, but what I think I'm going to do is take you in first of all, and we'll work our way through and round and out. Now, this aft cockpit area here, you can see we've got two configurations. We've got the table with the seating around it, or we've got the daybed. In fact, that is another table underneath there, and that one is telescopic. So basically you can do that with this, or that with this, and that means with this, or with this one rather done like this, you can seat about 14 people out here for dinner. It's remarkable. It's a nice beamy boat actually. But yeah, let's look at the outside in a moment. Let's head on in first of all. You can see how everything opens up. This window here opens up, the door of course opens across here. We've got skylights in the ceiling, we've got big opening sections around. The idea of this is it is air conditioned, but if you want to run with just ventilation, then you can do. This is set up like a big daybed here. What's quite nice is that this one in the center, you can turn that over as a little table and cup holders and so forth if you prefer, but that's a really nice lounging space. And in fact, the backrests here are weighted, so you can bring those forward. So if you want sort of more formal seating, if you like, sat a bit more upright rather than relaxing right back, then you can do it. But I have to say that looks particularly inviting, doesn't it? And there's a TV, you can see it just peeking out over here, that rises up, so that makes a brilliant little cinema zone of an evening. And then along here we've got a sink in underneath here. We've got storage down in places like this. So it's kind of like a sideboard really, isn't it? Fridge in there as well. And then your helm is here. Now there is an outside helm position, I'll show you that. It's really just a docking station. This is your main position for driving the boat, but look how they've got this with the very slim mullions and the very open view, and it's all the way around the whole boat. There's hardly any blind spots at all. It's a very, very nice place to drive the boat from. You can see everything from here. That is excellent, and that's those opening hatches that are above us as well. As I say, there's a lot of light and a lot of air into this space. Now the helm itself, everything on here is digitally switched, but there's manual backup switches, and I'll show you those as we go around. So this is getting you into, we're on lighting at the moment, for example, but all of the controls of the boat are there. We've got engine instrumentation here, and of course these are Garmin screens. You can configure these for navigation, you can do whatever you want, and in fact what they've done is put hard buttons here for things like nav lights and pumps and so forth. So if you want to get to some of these things, you don't need to start dialing through here to get to them. The main controls are right here. This is a dockmate yacht controller. This is actually a remote control. You can take that out and that will control the engines and thrusters and allow you to control the boat remotely, so you can walk around with that. This is interesting because this is manual controls for, hang on, oh there we go, twist, for the start, stop and forward and reverse and so forth, so that if you had a problem with the electronic controls, you're not stranded. You've got override controls there, which is excellent. There's a lot of that on this boat actually, a lot of redundancy, a lot of making sure you can keep going. We've got Yamaha instrumentation underneath there as well, and that one is chain counter. So when you're putting your anchor chain out, you can see how much you've got down. Fusion Hi-Fi is here in behind this one, usual kind of thing. And I really love this funky steering wheel. Look at this. How cool is that? And then the lift bolster here, of course, will drop if you want a seated position, or lift if you'd rather stand. So that is that. Let's head on a bit further. I'll show you this. They've put storage everywhere. It is designed to be a very, very practical boat, and part of that is making sure you've got plenty of places to put things away. This I particularly like down here. Check this out. Isn't that a nice space? And of course, you're still under these big windows, so still a load of light, a load of ventilation. These oblongs here, these black oblongs, are opening sections. So everywhere you've got air coming through. You can drop this table down, make that into a daybed if you want to. It's got the telescopic legs, and then your galley area is here. Some quite nice features, just little practical touches really. They put a chopping board on the back of there, so you can have that flipped over if you want to when you're cooking. Again, just a load of storage. I'm not going to open it all, but you can see it's all the way around here. We've got dishwasher in behind here, more storage underneath here, and then it's the electric cooking over on this side. These are pot holders, so you can put things on there, and when you're cruising at low speed and the boat's rocking a little bit, they won't slide around. Drawers down here, and then a big fridge freezer. So the fridge is there, singing us the song of its people. I've not had a fridge do that before. That's fantastic. Freezer underneath. Now this one is a 3-cabin layout. They do a 4-cabin layout as well, and I'll explain that when we get a bit further through the tour, but this is the 3, and so we've got this cabin here. This, I think I'm right in saying, is the smallest one in the boat, but it's still a really good size, and all of the cabins have at least 3 points of ventilation. We've got it here, we've got it here, and we've got an opening hatch here as well. So again, a lot of light and air into the cabin. It is air conditioned, as I say. You can close it up and air condition it, but it just means if you don't want to have the air conditioning on, it's still a nicely ventilated experience. And this is nice, putting these windows right down here when you're in bed. You've got the view out across to the horizon, which is lovely. There's obviously blinds that come down over these should you want them. Oh, let's do that properly. In fact, that's a double blind. You can pull it down as a bug screen, and then there's a further blind, which is that one there as a night screen. Excellent. Let's carry on a bit further. Again, we've got storage underneath the bed. Again, we've got storage here. So lots of places to put things away. It is designed to be a boat that is used for extended cruising. There we go, hanger knocker, for example. That is that. A little bit further then we've got the ensuite. All of the cabins have their own ensuites, and a separate shower there as well. When you consider this is the smallest cabin in the boat, that is pretty good. And everywhere on here, really, really good headroom. I'm over 6 foot, and yeah, wherever you are, even in this smallest cabin. And that doesn't just make it comfortable to move around, it makes it feel bigger as well. When you come to here, well, you've got, what, 4 meters of headroom? Remarkable. If we cross over, this is cabin 2. So this is a bigger guest cabin. But again, same sort of principle. You've got the opening porthole here, you've got it here, you've got the hatch underneath here, and then again, not going to open it all, but storage just everywhere. Here, here, drawers down underneath the bed. Look at the size of that. Fantastic. And this ensuite is here. Now this is actually the day heads as well. So, very, very nice size. And you can see there's another door there. That is that door there. So it's a day head during the day. All these doors are super thick, and they're all got the little insulating strip at the bottom that drops down when you close it. And it's very, very soundproof. We were in here earlier, there were people talking in here. We were in the forward cabin, we closed the door and it just went completely quiet. Now this is interesting because this is the switch panel. So we've got circuit breakers for absolutely everything here. And you can see them down here as well. And also controls for things like the generator and the water makers and so forth. But what's interesting about this is if we release this, and swing that open, let's close that one first. You can see in here how we've got switching for everything, and this is what I was talking about with regard to that multifunction display. Everything is electronically switched, but that is the manual backup switches. If for some reason your electronics weren't working, you can still get to everything operating as you need it to do. If we head forward again, now I mentioned there's a 4-cabin layout. What you can have is this split down the centre, and then a double cabin on one side, a double cabin on the other side. Both of them would have en-suites, and the en-suites would be at the front. But this has just got the single owner's cabin in the bow. There's a secondary layout for this. What you can have is the bed across against that side, and have this as a workstation here, so a desk and a chair, and it means that if you are a digital nomad, you can be cruising in your boat, but you can have this as an office space, as well as a bedroom, of course. Again, just loads and loads of storage. Not going to open it all, but I'll give you a flavour. Hanging rail there, storage down here, and again, lots of light. It's all the way around. We've got double hatches overhead. We've got opening sections in the windows here. Nice little dressing table over on that side, and this one has its ensuite here, which is the toilet and the sink and the mirror wave. But it also has, I'll just show you in here actually, just more storage. It has a separate shower on this side. And again, when you're talking about extended cruising, this is the kind of thing that just makes life a lot more comfortable. That is excellent. Very nice, but yeah, this area here I particularly like. This is lovely, this dinette and this galley area, and all underneath this big atrium is just fantastic. Good, that is, I think, the interior fairly comprehensively covered. Let's take a wander around the outside, and then I'm going to take you down to the engine space, because that, and talking about the efficiency, is the key to this boat. You see these struts here? That's so that these can do what this one's doing. It can open that all out completely. And it's back to what I was saying earlier about the fact you can really open this one up to the elements. Let's take a wander around the outside then. I'm all good. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Now we've got nice wide side decks here. We've also got a stern docking station. This I quite like. Check this out. Look how that rises up into place when you open it. So we've got engine controls, we've got bow and stern thruster controls. Of course, you've also got on this particular boat that yacht controller that you can walk around with. So that's a sort of, you know, doubling up really, but nonetheless a nice thing to have. If we head on forward, this is one of the hatches that's over one of the cabins. That's the second cabin hatch. And then the opening window here. So they put a rail here, so as you walk around it's really easy to do. And then we've got opening sections in the side here. What's quite interesting, you see these little sockets here? Well, if we come up to the front, you can see that there's a ladder here that gives you access up onto the top. Now on this one, it's fairly plain. You can have some beds up here. You can have this as a whole solar array. In fact, this one does have solar panels. You can see them if I come up a little bit, just behind the Starlink across there. But if you want to, you can cover this whole thing in solar panels. Radar up on the front, searchlight is here as well, and the antennas there you can see at the back. But the point I was going to make is that these sockets here mirror these sockets in the side here, so that can go onto the side of the boat and give you access down to water level. So for a tender coming alongside, or a dock that's low level that you want to get on the side rather than off the back, that's giving you side boarding on both sides. These are the hatches that are over that forward cabin that we saw. And of course these then just flip over, as you can see on that side. And then that one as well is also over the forward cabin, but the one in front of it on this boat is a very nice storage space. Boy, let's try that again. What we need to do with that is give that a little bit of a twist, and that will stay in place now. And this is, oh, it's like a little workroom really. So you've got storage down here, so these can be all racked out with spares or whatever else you want to keep in here. You've got storage in place like this. This is a really nice, useful space. Again, for long distance cruising, this is excellent. and access to the chain locker there as well. However, you can have this fitted out as a crew cabin if you prefer. It's got, I think I'm right in saying, 2 berths, which would be like bunk beds, and a small ensuite. But at 60 foot, most people with this sort of boat will be owner operating, and then so this sort of setup works very well. Let's come back there. Excellent. We'll drop that one back down. Let's undo that. This is interesting. You can take these off of here, and the anchor handling kit is underneath here, and they've put a bowsprit on it. So, there we are. So that comes like so. We've now got the anchor winch here, we've got the cleats here, we've got the fairleads here. But the idea of this is it's just really simple. You don't have any fancy mechanism for the anchor to extend out and down. It's simply a winch, and the anchor then is under the bowsprit. Nice and simple, not going to let you down. Again, it's down to that practical detailing, that trawler yacht vibe. There we are. Good. Let's press on back a little bit further. That's a purposeful looking boat, isn't it? We've got a helicopter coming into land over on the far side. You can probably hear that in the background. Let's head on back here. I'm going to show you down the back again. We've got the handrails down here, you see. Nice, practical thinking. There is a grill underneath here. Thusly, again, all this stuff, it's not complicated, is it? It's just simple. Hang on. There we go. And you'll notice this section here, that is actually a pasarelle that will swing out. If I come down here, I'll show you a bit better. You can see the mechanism for it there, but it does 2 things. Firstly, it swings out and gives you access onto the dock. It'll even go out at an angle that way to give you access onto a side dock. But also, you can see these sections here. It's because it can be used as a dinghy lift. So you can bring a tender up and put it down here. But when the tender is here, there's still space to put things like inflatable paddle boards or whatever down this side. That's why it's got this rail, so you can secure things to that. But the other thing that we have here then is there is storage underneath these steps. Let me show you on this one. So you can see that there's a life raft in there, for example. There's a bit more storage, and they're on both sides. And in fact, the other side is a little bit deeper, because on this side it's got a ladder that you can see in the back here that comes out. So that's a cassette that goes back underneath there. And then these ones here is access to steering gear and a little bit more storage. Splendid. Right, last thing to talk about then is engines. I want to show you here actually, because these are the engine vents. What's nice about these is they're inboard, so any spray or whatever going down the outside doesn't get in there, but also they channel up and along and down and go through noise handlers, so you don't get engine noise reverberating back through those. That one there, deck shower, so you can have a shower out here if you want to. So yeah, that's keeping everything nice and dry and well protected. These come across here so that of course they go right around the whole boat. And this one, where are we? This one here is on a hinge so that it slots round into here so that you can move, because this one here swivels, so this that's on it has to move with it. There's more storage here, and all of these storage voids are draining. So if we put wet gear in there, it's ventilated and it is designed to drain away. You can see the vents on the side there. Again, it's all practical thinking. And then the last thing to talk about is engines, and this is really, really interesting. Let's move this out of the way. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one there, and I'm going to put one here. I'm just going to get the engine hatch up, so I thought I'd put that there so people wouldn't.
No worries, I came just now.
Perfect, thank you very much. 3 blasts. The ferry is operating a stern propulsion. That's what that noise was that you heard. That's sound signals for boat manoeuvres. Right, come and check this out. This is much easier when you're not holding a GoPro, but nonetheless, here we are. And this, I think, is the big news. These are Yanmar diesels. You can have 150 horsepower each or 250 horsepower each. There's one each side. They are very get-at-able, as you can see. And these are the 250 horsepower engines. Now, the big news with these, they'll do 16 knots, and it will cruise if you want at 12. But if you seriously want to do some distance, drop it back to 8 knots, because at 8 knots this boat uses 1 litre per mile, just 1 litre. So it's got a 1,200 litre fuel tank. You can do the maths for yourself. If you're doing 1 litre a mile and you've got 1,200 of those litres, theoretically 1,200 miles. In reality you'd never do that because you keep some reserve, but a 1,000-mile range is definitely well within your grasp with 200 miles of reserve, and that for a 60-foot boat is absolutely fantastic. And it's down to that super efficient hull and that sort of sailboat design. Now these are on a V drive. You can see the prop shaft goes down here. They've put a thrust mounting here so that that takes the thrust rather than the engine, and it helps to cut down vibration. In fact, the soundproofing in this is really good everywhere. You can see it all through the ceiling. It's designed to be a really quiet boat to run. Other things to show you while we're down here are across here. I mentioned those manual switches. There's a load more of them here. Look at this. So again, these are all switched from that multifunction display, but if for any reason that's not working, you can come and switch stuff over manually. It's not going to stop you using the boat. It's not going to stop your trip, and that's important. We've got air conditioning in here. There is a water maker in here as well. I'll show you that in just a moment. But look how easy these engines are to get around. It's because they're quite small engines, really, if you think about it. 250 horsepower in a boat of this size, and it's because it's a displacement boat, and that's what I always talk about with the planing boats. You know, they require, call it 500 horsepower to go along, and then another 2,000 horsepower to get them up onto the plane. If you're not doing the planing, you don't need that extra power, and this is more than sufficient. That's the water maker over there. That's what that chap is. And there is a washing machine on here, and I've forgotten to show it to you, so I'll finish up for that. Let's come back out of here, and then I think we're about done.
Okay, just a moment.
Okay, no problem.
Please, thank you.
I'll swap sides with you. No, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to go on in. Lovely. Let me squeeze through. Perfect, thank you. Okay, last thing to show you, because this washing machine's the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. Okay, that's an exaggeration. Nonetheless, it's pretty cool. In here, and in here, would you believe that the washing machine is in here? Look at this. How cool is that? The tiny washing machine. That's fantastic. Not seen one of those before. I think that's great. And that, I think, is a fairly comprehensive tour of the Omicron OT-60. Let's finish up down here because this is a nice space. And I shall be very interested to hear your thoughts on that one. Massive thanks to Omicron for organising that tour. Huge thanks, of course, to you for watching it. Let me know what you think of that in the comments, and we'll catch you on another one of these real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.